Dark Souls cosplay, everybody! That's right, we're going to build one today. Come with me. Oh my god, why am I doing this? Let's get into it. So let's get started with some reference pictures. We'll be using the armor without the red thingy on the top, just because when I was building it, I completely forgot the Ornstein has it when you fight him. First thing we're going to do is to get registration marks to all our patterns. Then we're going to transfer them into 5mm thick EVA foam. Make sure you're using the right Sharpie, by the way. Cut all the bad boys out, just make sure you have the sharp blade, and especially in the edges, in these sharp edges, you really don't want to overcut it. Some parts need to be cut in an angle to make all the curves right. To put all my EVA parts together, I'm using contact cement from PATERNS. This is the back of the helmet. I'm just spraying the glue all over the side, making sure that I didn't miss any spot. It usually takes few minutes for glue to dry. After that you can connect it together. Take your time with it, nicely edge to the edge so you have smooth seam. This helmet is made out of a lot of pieces, so what I usually do is to build half of the part that I'm working on and then connect it together. Some really curvy pieces, like this one, needs heat form before you glue all the parts together. I don't really like how this spike turned out, so what I did here was that I completely cut it out and I will glue another piece back to this place later. And this is how it looks so far. It's really important to follow every single cut you see, because it will change the final shape. You really need to make this really sharp angle on this cheek part, because this will stand out a lot. And here comes the layering of the front part. I'm putting glue on the top and the bottom, but also on the side of the pieces, because it's gonna overlap from the top to bottom. We will need white cuts from the inside. We're gonna glue them together and it will create nice looking edges. 3 on each side and then 1 in the middle. Put some contact cement there, squeeze it together and let it dry for a while. Be careful to not cut too deep, like I did. But if you do, it's not that big problem. It's time to try it on. Remember, every person is different, so if you're building this, be prepared to do some customization until it fits you. Now when it's connected, I will use a heat gun to shape it a little more. And here comes the last curve. Get ready, because this part is super complicated, but you barely use foam on it. When you're making this face part of the helmet, it's really good to work on both sides at the same time to keep it symmetrical. I'm trying so hard to keep this as clear as possible. If you are wondering where to get these patterns, you can head over to my Patreon, where are all patterns that I'm using, also with 3D models, so check it out. It looks really nasty, but we will fix that. It's time for spikes. When you are doing them, make sure you have the seams as thin as possible. Oh my god, this looks so cool on the video. Notice that little free spaces we have on both sides. That's where my personal customization came in place. I just made a pattern that looks exactly like the hole from the sides. Then transfer it to foam and glue it in place. And more spikes. We will have 4 in total. This was the point when the helmet itself was so big that it didn't even fit on the table. After gluing the rest of the plating, it was finally time to put the face piece on. Remember that little spike I cut at the beginning of the video? This is the replacement. The base for our helmet is done. Very nice. This is after hours and hours of sanding. Now we're going to smooth everything out with foam clay. What's the piece you're working on before you put foam clay on it? You don't need much to cover the holes. When you're done, use just a little bit of water to smooth it out. I cut a piece of wire, bend it over and hot glue it in the mouthpiece to secure it at place. Don't burn yourself with it, the wire will be really hot too. Nice and secure for the priming. I'm doing 3 coats of Flex Seal. As you can see, it turned out pretty well. Yeah, you guessed it. Sanding time! I'm making sure that there's no dust left. It left us with some really good texture on it. Now we're going to hot glue eyes. Now let's get to painting. We're going to use this gold. It's really important to give all the props that will have this gold brown or red color. It's the most accurate base paint you can use. I'm going with 3 coats as well. When I was painting it, I forgot about the base paint, but I realized it soon. I just took sponge, a little bit of paint and just dab it all over the place. I went with 2 layers of gold. And here it is, nice and shiny. It's time to glue rest of the wires. I made a line of glue and stuck individual wires there. There are 17 wires in total. I just took some more of hot glue and secured it at bottom jaw as well.
Next thing we're going to do is to take really watery brown color and do a brown wash. We need this color to get in every little corner, in every little gap. Then dab most of it off with paper towel. I'm using dry brush with white color to get highlights, but you can also use things like rub and buff or whatever you like. I used acrylic varnish to protect the paint job. Always spray in a well-ventilated area. Last piece of our helmet will be this black cloth. It's really transparent, so when you wear the helmet you can see through, but nobody will be able to see your face. I just hot glue it in place. This is the front of the leg armor. Most of the connections you see there were cutted in angle. This is 5mm thick foam. You can easily recognize which one goes to your right and left leg because the pieces are slightly curved towards the center of your body. It's good to try these cuts on a scrap foam before you move to your actual pieces. It's good to use a heat gun on every single piece of foam. It helps to seal it, form it, and final strips wouldn't be under such a stress. Press it against your leg to get nice fit. You have only a few seconds to do that because foam cools really fast. I dremeled the edges to make it look different. At this point it's going to get a little weird. I took a foil and wrapped it around my leg. Make sure the size matches the front part. It should be just a little bigger. Then do the same thing with the duct tape, to get a perfect shape of your leg. If you forgot to put foil in there first, it's gonna be super painful. But still manageable, so go for it, low budget cosplayers. When you're done with the duct tape, it's time to get your Sharpie and mark the edges. You should be able to move in that as freely as possible. Now carefully cut it out. Put at least one connection there for the perfect shape. It's kinda hard to glue these two together, but I think it's totally worth it. Yeah, that feels nice. We are going to do the same thing with our shoes. I used some more of duct tape to create this little spike at the end of the shoe. Make everything nice and even. I just quickly sanded imperfections. Don't forget to form and heat seal everything. It's good as long as it fits your shoe. Get rid of everything you won't possibly need. These cost only a few bucks, so I have no problem with sewing a bunch of velcros on them. I really like that idea of having one cosplay shoes that you can use on multiple projects. Yeah, these bad boys will hold our armor together, while we can still move with no problems. For all details, I just took original pattern and drew some ornaments that I could figure out from the reference pictures. Most of the time it was this long strip that I just glued on. Make sure everything fits, because it's not that easy to reattach it. I drew some lines on the foam to make sure where to put glue and where not to. Plates are from 1 cm thick foam and the details from 2 mm thick EVA. It was really helpful to connect sides first. This top part in my right hand has ornaments on both sides, because it's cut at an angle and people could actually see it. The biggest plate is made out of 2 parts, because there's a little spike in the center that needs to pop out. You know the drill: heat it, glue it, sand it, and heat it again. I took each plate and dremeled it around to blend every layer. After that I wet sanded until it was smooth as possible. It's time to put all plates together. I had my reference pictures right next to me to make sure I overlap it in the right way. This part didn't suit me well, so I took some high density foam and make a filler out of it to keep the skirt part a little bit away from me. Then I made a block of foam for later attachment. This part here should be super strong. After this I took my Dremel and did some battle damage. To add some volume to our shoulder armor, I decided to make some parts out of 1 cm thick EVA. These parts will get some details too. I don't really know the proper way how to keep these things symmetrical, so I just kinda eyeball it. This left piece should be just a little bit higher than the right one to make the levels. This was kinda tricky to get right, because you have to glue this from two different sides. Little hooks from both sides went a little up from the rest of the shoulder armor. And the other pieces went even higher. In the middle section was a gap, so I decided to use foam clay on it. And this will be our arm. Unfortunately, I managed to lose some files, so I don't have recorded how I put together the most top part you can see right there. But basically what I did is to use 1 centimeter thick foam to that little strap on the upper side. Rest of it is 5 millimeter foam. Gauntlet is made out of 4 layers. I just put the next layer slightly above the other. Now let's see if it fits. I decided to extend it a bit. This piece will slide under the gauntlet. Elbow is made in a similar way as a glove. Only difference is that you need these on top. Now make another pattern, but be careful, you need some space to keep moving your thumb. You will use the same piece on each finger. Now transfer it into 2mm EVA. This is the main part, this is the thumb part, and for the end of the fingers I just make it a little sharper. This is a really stupid way how to do it, but I'm not smart and it burned like hell. For the chainmail I first made these springs, cut them into rings and put them together until you have your armor. You close 4 of them and put them into one that is open. After that you connect them and do it again and again and again. Here's the front, we will add details later. At this point I made all connections that I needed, all straps or velcros, everything. But you can do details first, it doesn't really matter. When I have two symmetrical parts, I just drew on half of them and then flipped them to complete. I used the most basic wood glue you can find to prime these. I usually go with 3 layers, but be careful, you have to heat seal them first. If you don't, the foam will suck it to itself. You can thin it down with water if you want, but more runny it is, the thinner the layers will be. The wood glue started to fill the details I made, so I just dab it with a brush. I didn't have much time to the cosplay contest in Prague, so my room basically looked like this all the time. Big warning, when you're using wood glue, you need to spray varnish over it before you start painting it. If you don't, wood glue will get runny again and it's ruined. I didn't use primer for the glove, I just heat sealed it. Take your sponge and give everything 2 layers of this gold. When you look at the picture closely, there is a necklace that Ornstein has. I wasn't able to figure out what it actually is on that necklace, but this is what I came up with. I bought these fake gems because they are on the picture for sure. I glued them on with some super glue. I made 5 in total and I will connect them with golden chain. I marked the center with a Sharpie to get right distance between them. I secure them in a place with hot glue. And this is how they look. I used white gold metallic color on details. and also some dark brown for the battle damage. This is real leather for the straps. I put some contact cement on the back side and put a little foam piece to connect it. I will not put all attachments on the video, because even now it's around 1 hour long. Next step is to put brown wash on everything. It finally looks all dirty and worn. Highlighting is the next, a dry brush and some white paint. You can also use things like metallic paints, rub and buff will be really good. Actually, I'm gonna rework this with silver rub and buff. Some more acrylic varnish to protect the paint job. Now you can finally hot glue the necklace to the chest piece. It looks pretty decent in my opinion. Now we can add even more details, like these pieces of fabric to the sides. Grab your scissors and completely destroy them. Random cuts and tears are the best, don't be afraid. You can also burn the edges, take them outside and drag them through some dirt, do whatever you want. I took an iron brush and scratched the fabric from the sides. After you're done, just hot glue them to an armor. Don't forget to leave the space with Velcro on it. This will nicely cover the unpainted sides of the armor. Spear is as simple as it can be. I just superglued all 3D printed parts together and used filler for the plastic to haul piece. I used this roll while I was working on it. Check your work time before you mix it. For example, my filler's work time was about 2 minutes. And boy, that's not long. Sand it before you add another layer of the filler. And here comes the painting. Everything that should be gold have brown base color. White gold is yellow base color and silver or blue silver is black. Tip of the blade is regular silver, the rest of it is blue silver. 2 coats worked best for me. And this white gold was used on a guard. Then put it on a brown handle and it's done! Thank you guys so much for watching. I have no idea how you could get so far. I really appreciate it. Thanks to this cosplay, I will take my part in Euro Cosplay at Comic Con in October. It would be awesome to meet you there. See you next time.